Hi children, welcome to grade 6 English and this is our session 3 in chapter 5, the last leaf. And before getting into our session, let's do an energizer. Children, think of one person in your family you're closest to and share one thing about that person to show how much you appreciate him or her. Write answer for this in your English note and can post it in grade 6 English Google Classroom. And now let's recap what we have learned in our earlier session. Let me summarize the story The Last Leaf. And this story is about two young women, Sue and Jancy. Sue came from Maine and Jancy came from California. They met at a restaurant on 8th Street where they discovered that they liked the same kind of art, food, and clothes. So they decided to live and work together. That was during the spring season. And towards winter, a cold stranger entered Greenwich Village and no one can able to see him, but he walked around touching one person here and there with his icy fingers. He was a bad sickness and doctors called him pneumonia. And on each side of the city he hurried, but in the narrow streets of Greenwich Village he did not move so quickly. Mr. Pneumonia was definitely not a nice old gentleman because he hurt a weak little woman from California, that is Jancy. Mr. Pneumonia touched the Jancy with his cold fingers. She lay on her bed without moving and she looked through the window at the wall of the house next to hers. One morning, the busy doctor spoke to Sue alone in the hall where Jancy could not hear. She has a very small chance, he said. And she has a chance, but only if she wants to live. If people don't want to live, I can't do anything to them, he said. Your little lady has already decided that she is not going to get well. Is there something that is troubling her? Is a man? He asked. She always wanted to go to Italy and paint the picture of the Bay of Naples. A man, said Sue. Is a man worth? No, doctor, that is not a man, she said. It's a weakness, said the doctor. I will do all I know how to do. But when a sick person begins to feel that he is going to die, half my work is useless, he said. After the doctor had gone, Sue went into the workroom to cry. Then she walked into Jancy's room carrying some of her painting materials with her. And she was singing. And Jancy lay there very thin and quiet, her face turned towards the window. Sue stopped thinking that Jancy was asleep. Sue began to work. And as she worked, she heard a murmur sound again and again. She went quickly to the bedside. Jancy's eyes were open wide and she was counting something through the window in backwards. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 and 7. Sue looked out the window. What was there to count? There was only the side wall of the next house a short distance away. The wall had no window. An old tree grew against the wall. The cold breath of winter had touched the tree and almost all its leaves had fallen from its dark branches. And in this picture you can see Sue and Jancy. They both were sitting in Jancy's room and Jancy was looking through the window, that is the tree with only few leaves left. And what is it, dear? Asked Sue. 6, said Jancy in a voice still lower. They are falling very fast. 3 days ago, I can able to see hundreds of leaves and I cannot able to count them and it hurted me. But now, there is only very few and there are only 5 leaves on the tree. And the last one falls and I must go along with the 2, she said. After hearing that, Sue felt mad. What you are seeing and what you are talking about It doesn't have any sense. What does an old tree can do with you or with your getting well from this illness? And you used to love the tree so much, I know, but don't be a fool. Doctor told me that you are having lot of chances for getting well. He told me this morning that you had very good chances. Try to eat a little now, she said. I'll go back to work, then I can send this picture, and after selling this picture I can get some money through which I can buy you something to eat so that you become very strong, she said. You don't have to buy anything for me, said Johnsy angrily. She still looked out the window. There goes another. No, I don't want anything to eat. Now there are only 4 leaves left. I want to see the last one fall before the night. Then I will go too, she said. Johnsy dear, will you promise me to close your eyes and keep them closed? Don't look at that window and that tree, she said. I must have this picture ready tomorrow, so I can't cover the window. I need light. Couldn't you work in another room? Asked Johnsy coldly. I would rather be here by you, said Sue. I don't want you to look at those leaves, she said. Tell me as soon as you have finished, and I want to see the last leaf fall. I have done enough waiting and I have done enough thinking. Now I want to go sailing down like one of those leaves, she said. And after hearing that, Sue got very much sad. Try to sleep, she said. I must call Berman to come up here, and I want to paint a man in this picture, so I will make him look like Berman. I won't be gone a minute. Don't try to move till I come back. Please close your eyes and sleep for some time, she said. Old Berman, he was a painter and he lived on the first floor of their house. He was past 60, but he had no success as a painter. For 40 years he had painted without ever painting a good picture. He had always talked of painting a great picture, a masterpiece, but he had never yet started it. He got a little money by letting others paint pictures of him, but he drank too much. He still talked of his great masterpiece now and then, and he believed that it was his special duty to do everything possible to help Sue and Johnsy. Sue found him in his dark room. She knew that he had been drinking. She could smell it. She told him about Johnsy and the leaves on the vine. Old Berman shouted in anger over such an idea. What? He cried. Are there such fools? Do people die because of leaves drop off a tree? I have not heard of such a thing. No, I will not come up and sit while you make a picture of me. Why do you allow her to think such a thing? That poor little Johnsy, he cried. She is very sick and weak, said Sue. Please come with me. And the sickness has put some strange ideas into her mind, I think. Mr. Berman, come along with me. Otherwise, I don't think you are very nice, she said. And here a picture of old Berman and Sue talking with each other. This is like a woman, shouted Berman. Who said I will not come? You go, I will come with you, he said. This is not any place for someone as good as Johnsy to lie sick. Some day I shall paint my masterpiece and we shall all go away from here. God, yes, he said. Johnsy was sleeping when they went up. Sue covered the window and took Berman into the another room. There they looked out the window fearfully at the tree. Then they looked at each other for a moment without speaking. A cold rain was falling, and with a little snow in it too. Berman sat down. Sue began to paint. She worked through most of the night. In the morning, after an hour's sleep, she went to Johnsy's bedside. Johnsy, with wide open eyes, was looking toward the window. I want to see, she said. Sue. Sue took the cover from the window, but after the beating rain and wild wind, the leaf is still there against the wall, and it was the last on the tree. It was still dark green near the branch, but at the edges it was turning yellow with age. There it was hanging from a branch nearly 20 feet above the ground. It was the last one, said Johnsy. I thought it would surely fall during the night. I heard the wind. It will fall today, and I shall die at the same time. Dear Johnsy, said Sue, think of me, please. If you won't think of yourself, what would I do? She asked. But Johnsy did not answer. The loneliest thing in the world is a soul when it is preparing to go on its far journey. But what ties that held her to friendship and to earth were breaking one by one. And the days slowly passed. As it grew dark, they could still see the leaf hanging from its branch against the wall. And then the night came, the north wind began again to blow. The rain still beat against the windows. When it was light enough the next morning, Johnsy again commanded that she be allowed to see the leaf. The leaf was still there. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at it, and Sue was cooking something for her to eat. I have been a bad girl, Sue, said Johnsy. Something has made that last leaf stay there to show me that how bad I was. It is wrong to want to die. I will try to eat now, but first bring me a looking glass so that I can see myself. Then I will sit up and watch you cook, she said. An hour later, she said, Sue, someday I hope to paint the Bay of Naples, and her mind slowly changed. The doctor came in the afternoon. Sue followed him to the hall. The chances are good, said the doctor. He said Sue's thin, shaking hand in his. Give her good care and she will get well. And now I must see another sick person in this house. His name is Berman, a painter. I believe pneumonia too. He is an old weak man and he is very ill and there is no hope for him. But we take him to hospital today. We will make it as easy for him as we can, he said. The next day, the doctor said to Sue, she is safe. You have done it. Food and care now, that's all. And that afternoon, Sue came to the bed where Johnsy lay. She put one arm around her. I have something to tell you, she said. Mr. Berman died of pneumonia today in the hospital, she said. He was ill only 2 days. Someone found him on the morning of the first day in his room. He was helpless with pain. And children, here you can see the picture of old Berman painting something on the wall. Yes? And now let's read. His shoes and his clothes were wet and as cold as ice. Everyone wondered where he had been. The night had been so cold and wild. And then they found some things. Yeah, there was a light that he had taken outside, and there were his materials for painting as well. And there was paint, green paint and yellow paint. And look out the window, dear, at the last leaf on the wall. Didn't you wonder why it never moved when the wind was blowing? Oh my dear, it's Berman's great masterpiece. He painted it there the night that the last leaf fell. And this story is written by O. Henry. And it's really touching and emotional story, right children? Yeah. And let's summarize. Children, this story is all about two young women, Sue and Johnsy, and they were living in Greenwich Village. And one fine day, Johnsy suffered from pneumonia, and Sue tried so many things to make her feel okay, but Johnsy was not at all well. She kept on thinking once the last leaf fell from the tree she saw through the window, and she would go along with it too. And after that came the old man Berman, and we have seen how the Berman painted the last leaf on the wall, and its his great masterpiece, and with the help of which the young girl survived and she is safe well now. And what is the moral of the story, children? Even if we have to face bad things in our life, we should always help our loved ones. And it is true that a real friend is the one who helps you in your need. And the leaf is a symbol of despair that turns into a symbol of hope at the end of the story. And belief is a powerful agent of change. Life is so precious, and faith, hope, and belief should never be lost. And we should always think positive in everything happening around us so that we can able to live happily. And this is what we have learned from this story, children. And let me tell you the home assignment for today's session. Let's do story mapping. In your workbook, page number 57, they have given you the story map. And title, main characters, and events rising action. The events that happen before the climax. And climax is nothing but the turning point of the story. Right? And before that turning point, what are the events happen in the story? That you have to write in 7 points. And after that turning point, how the story falls. That is how the solution has been got in the story. Yes, falling action. That is 8, 9 and 10. The story now is moving towards the end. Right? And that comes in falling action. And along with this, we have to fill conflict. What is the problem in the story? Resolution. How the problem got solved. And setting. In what is the setting of the story? That is where the story took place. And author's theme. What the author is trying to convey. What message he is trying to convey. And climax is nothing but the turning point in the story. Yes, which incident is the turning point in the story? And I hope you understand this, children. Complete this story map. And also complete chapter 5, practice zone 1, questions 5 and 6 in your concept book, page number 60. And also complete your workbook 56 and 57. And children, after completing your homework, hand in it in your grade 6 English Google Classroom. Drink more water, eat healthy food, reduce your screen time, give adequate rest to your eyes, don't use mobile phones often, and stay home and stay safe, children. Thank you so much.